Hi, this is Pete Lyons with Let's Play Salesforce, and tonight we're doing Einstein Analytics Winter 19 Sneak Peek Part 3. Now, what's that? Looks like I just got a recommendation from Einstein. Apparently I'm doing it wrong, and what we're actually going to be covering is Einstein Discovery Winter 19 Sneak Peeks. And while this is a topic I'm somewhat familiar with, I'm not nearly as well versed in this as I am in Einstein Analytics. So I've decided that I need to call in some support from my good friend and colleague, Matt Swanson. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here, Pete. When I'm not in the office with Pete working on Einstein Discovery, I enjoy long walks on the beach and snowboarding, of course.
All right, awesome. So let's jump right in. So we got some really good stuff to show you guys tonight. So we do have to take a quick pause for our safe harbor moment. I don't work for Salesforce. I don't speak for Salesforce. I'm not doing this on behalf of my employer. Please make all purchasing decisions based on currently available technologies. Please consult your AE before making any licensure-based decisions. This is commentary, not documentation, and please swim in safe harbors. So Matt, why don't you walk us through a day in the life? First off, why don't you show us logging into Einstein Discovery and just give us a quick tour of the UI.
Sounds good, Pete. So the first place that you'd go to take a look is you go over to the app launcher on the left and hover over the Einstein Discovery tab. By default, you're going to get taken to your landing page where you're going to be able to see any stories that you've recently created. If you want to create a new story, just click over here on the left. Once you land on this screen, you're able to maximize or minimize any of the variables that are contained within your dataset. Do you want to make modifications to your dataset? You can do it directly from here. First, you want to start by verifying the type of data that is in each field. You can select text, number, or date. If you want to get rid of a row because it's not relevant to your story, you can delete it here, or you can omit just specific values from your dataset. Additionally, you can add derived columns, add a lookup from the lookup table, or create a group table and add it directly onto your dataset. After you're satisfied with those changes, you're ready to create your story.
So let's see if I can figure out how all that works in the new Winter 19 release. Well, I don't have an Einstein Discovery button, but I do have this nice button for Analytics Studio. Shout out to the Wave Spinner. Love that load spinner. When I click on Analytics Studio and I view the data sets that are currently available to me, I don't need to go into a separate part of the platform. I can just click the Create Story button. And I'm going to get this really nice UI wizard that we're seeing all of those same options, but we're seeing them horizontally instead of vertically. Now, one important distinction is because I don't have the datasets tab that Matt has, I'm not going to have those buttons for adding data via lookup or adding derived columns. But that's okay. I'm not denied this functionality because since I'm sharing my datasets between Einstein Discovery and Einstein Analytics, I'm able to leverage recipes and the data flow to perform all of the different joins to connect my data across different objects, as well as add derived and calculated columns. See some of my other content for what we can do with that kind of stuff. So all of our dataset functions are now compartmentalized, so our story creation process is actually a little bit more streamlined. We've got some different fields. It's telling me it doesn't like them. I can pull them out if I need to, and it's basically going to go from there. Oh wow, it really doesn't like these fields, so I am going to get rid of them. I don't know how to view the error message, but those were all system fields, so not super worried about that. So now I'm going to hit create, and at this point I'm going to be back to the same screen we would have been at if Matt had clicked the create button on his. All right, Matt, so we've opened up our story here in the classic editor for Einstein Discovery. What am I looking at?
So what you're looking at right here is a number of insights that have been automatically generated by Einstein Discovery that outlines a lot of the most important factors affecting what you chose to maximize or minimize. So this one at the top, contract, we can see that this affected churn rate more than any other factor within your data set.
Okay, so what you're telling me is I got this big orange block on the left right here, and that's my month to month within contract. So this is a dimension or pick list, and I've got these other smaller groups, but that overall contract was the most significant influencer to this yes churn that I was trying to get here. So what if I wanted more insights on month to month?
So if you wanted to explore a little bit more about why month to month affected your churn rate, you would search over on the right here in the related to list and click on month to month, then move from what happened to why it happened.
So at a quick glance, this actually almost looks like an entirely different product, but we haven't done any changes here to how we are processing and exposing the data. This is the same data that we were looking at just a moment ago, but it's had a whole complete reskin. So first thing that jumps out, the color palette is now much more in tune with what we see in Einstein Analytics and in Lightning dashboards. So if you want one great example, look at this beautiful average line that is very clear to see and just draws your eyes as this is something that's important. Well, we actually had the average line in the original graph, but it was so submerged in the background that we didn't even register that it was important. On the left here, we now have our story where it's prominent, where I'm gonna have my attention drawn as this is my detailed information. I can see that it's color coded by things that I probably like versus things I probably don't like. And I do still have that same ability to get month-to-month insights. I also now have the ability to drill in to any of these different coordinating factors that, and it's real fast too. I like that. Fast is always good. If I lose my place and I want to get back to where I started, I can just click here. I still have that same scroll down to see all of the other insights. It found the exact same insights that we've already seen. It just is a lot easier to interpret. So really great update here. We've now got our search at the top. We have our buttons over here. So next, let's try that whole why it happened thing and see if we get to the same spot. It looks like we do. So I'm gonna pause and cut back over to Matt and see how he's doing in the previous release. All right, Matt. So we've clicked into why it happened. What am I looking at this time?
So if you draw your attention to the left of the global outcome, this is what you can see as your baseline of when contract is any type. Moving over to the right, this is specifically when contract is month to month, which is the main difference between the observed outcome and the global outcome. Moving over to the right, these are unrelated factors, not related to contract, but still represent a difference between the main variable we're trying to look at and the observed outcome. Looking in the purple, these are several small contributors that affect the outcome, not big enough individually to make a difference, but summed together, they do. Looking at the gray over here, we can see that these are several unexplained factors that help us bridge the gap between all of the relevant factors and the observed outcome. You can take a look and see that they are not quite the same. They look to be about the same, but that's just a coincidence, most likely to do with a small sample size. And then finally, we can look at our observed outcome on the right.
So I actually think the Winter 19 version of this is just so much cleaner. It's not just a matter of moving over to the more consistent color palette and having the related data on the left in color coding like we saw previously, but it's also that the waterfall has been rotated to the right, which is not just more visually accurate to me being a guy who lives next to Niagara Falls, but it's really about this legend that I can actually read everything without like turning my head to the side and trying to figure out what's what. This is a much easier to consume format for me. We still have the same drill-in functionality that we saw previously. I also want to call out the tooltips that we have from Einstein Analytics, giving us some more granular detail about the section that we're hovering on. But also look at the left there. We see that the related factor is also being highlighted. Now, we do see some differences in the data that's being presented, and my guess is that I did or did not include certain fields in which what. This is all loaded into two different orgs. That's how I'm doing Winter 19 and Summer 18 at the same time. So I'm guessing that the majority of the differences in this graph are just bad data loading and not actually indicative of a back-end update, although I could be wrong. Maybe they're calculating things different. Maybe it's better. I don't know. My guess is human error on my part. So we do still see this section would have been our green from before. This was our gray from before, going from left to right. We're now going from top to bottom. I think this is our two blue sections that we had of lesser contributing factors. This guy and his two friends, no idea. This was our purple, this was our gray, and this was our orange. So we're still, for the most part, as much as my human error can account for, I think we're seeing the same data. So Matt, let's say that my compliance department comes to me and they tell me that they don't believe in this hoodoo witchcraft that we have performed. How am I, as a humble explorer and developer and swimmer of the data, to rationalize to them that these models are accurate and valid?
So if you want to rationalize and identify where you got these models from, you're going to click at the R button in the top right. This is going to give you all the different processes behind how it got these insights in the first place. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see the statistical significance of everything we have.
So back to our Winter 19 instance, I too have a fancy button. It doesn't say R, it says Model Metrics. And when I click on it, first I'm going to be presented with this fancy line graph, some information from Einstein that's telling me how I'm supposed to interpret it. I'm guessing that I have an 81.5% accuracy in my model. I'm not entirely sure how to interpret this data. I've got tabs for scoring metrics, cross-validation metrics, and over 153 pages of coefficients, which I believe this is like every different actual simulation it tried to run. I'm not a statistics guy, but if I was, I think this would probably be a lot easier to interpret than trying to read R code. Both are valid, but this one I think I could come up to speed on, whereas the previous example, I'm just glad to know it was there, but I don't think that I could figure that one out. This, I think I can figure out what this means. So I saved the best for the last on this one. One thing that we never had previously is this button right here, Einstein Data Insights. And so I'm looking at just a regular old report in Lightning. It's got more than 500 rows. I've got my fancy Analytics Plus license. I'm going to click the button. Einstein does some numbers, and look at that. We've got Einstein Discovery embedded directly into Salesforce reports. I can select other different factors. He's going to crunch the numbers again. This is not the predictive portion. It is only the descriptive portion. I think that is something that's going to be coming further, as well as getting the predictive piece off of this. But like, look at how fast that is. It's just running new patterns on this same pool of data that I have in here. But every time I select one of these different fields, it has to go and do its whole thing again. And it's just doing it live on the fly. Like, I'm just picking random stuff here, and it's totally keeping up with me. So Matt, I understand there's also been some changes in how we're addressing licensure. Can you tell me about how we're handling that in current state?
Current state, you need two separate licenses to use Einstein Analytics and Einstein Discovery. So everything that you saw today requires an Einstein Discovery license.
Okay, so moving forward, we're actually going to have the Einstein Analytics Plus license, which is going to combine all of the features of both together. The SKU for this is actually already available, but just friendly reminder, I don't work for Salesforce. I think we already said that. You're going to need to talk to your AE about this one, but it's totally a thing. It totally exists. As far as the features that you saw tonight, when and what is going to ultimately be available, again, safe harbor. Talk to your AE, but please make all purchasing decisions based on currently available technologies. Don't just watch some video that I made and think, oh, we've got this tomorrow, because as you might have noticed, I'm still fumbling my way through what we actually have here. It's a ton of new content. It's really awesome, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to do in future releases.
Well, everyone, hope you enjoyed or learned something. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, thanks for watching.